So sit up straight and tall. Take your, whatever cross of legs you're using, just be conscious of that. You know, just ask yourself, is this my, do I always do it this way? Because I just did it the way I always do it. So I'm going to kind of undo that. So go to the second side. Whatever your favorite is, go to the other side. And you'll say to yourself, oh, I like that too. I mean, we know how to do that because we do every pose in both sides of the body. And that really helps us, I think. That really helps us center, and it helps us get used to doing things with our other hand or other leg. So put your hands on your thighs, just right on your thighs, softly. Don't push or anything. And just start processing your sitting posture by lifting your torso up away from your hips. So your sit bones are down. You have really connected through your waist down to your hips. See, that goes down, but everything else is going to go up. So imagine that your waist down to your hips is down and your side body, waist up to your armpits, is up. And that's pretty much a good way to start, but that's not everything. So just draw yourself into your body. So draw yourself in and away from the day. So we're coming into a different space in our lives right now where we're really going to pay attention to our breathing, and we're going to pay attention to our body. So we're trying now to join our bodies and our minds, and oftentimes we do that through the breathing, right? So let's just take a couple of easy breaths. No manipulation, don't try to hold it. Just take easy breaths, and as you take your inhale, lift your whole torso up, and as you take your exhale, take your shoulder blade skin down. So just breathe easy, no worries. You want to just feel like your front body and your back body are providing support for each other. That the front body can't do its work without the back body, and the back body can't do its work without the front body. And let's start with a little example. So take your shoulder blades on your back body away from your head, so down. But then lift your side body up as tall as you can. And now just with your imagination, almost as much as your body, take the skin on your back body from the top of your shoulders down to your buttocks and just see what that might require. So it's a big piece of skin. So just take it down and just see what you're having to do to create that. And for me, and I'm sure for you too, it has to involve then the front body. I can't do it without including the front body. So this is a beautiful example of how the two work together. Typically we say chest up, shoulder blades down. And then as your shoulder blades are going down, they're always also moving forward toward your chest. So there's quite a lift of the chest. It almost feels like you have something behind your shoulder blades gently holding you, pushing you a little bit forward. Pushing might be the wrong word, encouraging your chest a little bit forward, not your ribs. Your ribs stay where they are. Go in. Now take your hands beside you, just for the balance of the pose, just for the reference, and then say which buttock has more weight, or are they completely even, and try to even them. So one for me had to be a little bit adjusted, and then center your spine. So right from side to side, front to back, and then bring your hands together in prayer. So close your eyes, relax your face, soften your jaw. This is where we start to marry our breath to our body. And when we start marrying our breath to our body, we're doing the same with our mind. You know, the mind and the breath are quite, sometimes if you read physiology or if you read ideas of consciousness that are not psychology, that are more psychology than they are yoga, you find the same idea. That the breath and the mind go together. Once you can concentrate on your breath, your mind is right there. That is your mind. So draw your torso as tall as you can, but really soft. And right in the center of your body is your spine, and lift up. Just lift up. You're going to use all sorts of actions to do that. Your abdomen, for example, will press back towards your spine. Your armpits can lift up. There's all sorts of things that make this so beautiful. Just go in and breathe. And then prepare for yoga. So with your chest and your heart really lifted, bow your head to your heart. Bring your hands down to your thighs. Open your eyes in front of your shins and bring your head back up. Turn your palms down. Draw your elbows down. Draw your armpits up. And then straighten your legs for a second and cross your legs the other way. And now you know what the other way is because it's your favorite, remember? It's your favorite, but the thing is, now you're saying, is it? I like the other one too. So we go side to side first to try to even the weight on the buttocks. Now we know we want to be even on our buttocks. We want the waist skin to go down toward the hips. It's just an idea. And then from the, but now here's not an idea. Take the waist skin up to the armpits. That's an action. That's an action. So draw your chest up as high as you can, elbows down, breathing, and then breathe and take your hands behind you. And either, so now here's our belt, either hold the belt behind you, you know, as wide as is comfortable for your shoulders. What we want to do is we want to take our shoulder skin down toward our buttocks and lift our mid-back up toward our chest. Right? I mean, there's a couple of things we're trying to do, and this is so helpful. If we could walk around like this all day long, I think we would really, our backs would feel better. Because you don't want to make this hard. You want to make this conscious of how long your side body is, but really how much your shoulder blades are moving forward. Don't you feel that with your hands behind you? You should. You should feel like, oh, when I do this, my shoulder blades really do move forward to support the lift of my chest. Now hold your ribs back, your abdomen back, and just breathe. So we're just breathing and we're noticing how that feels because we're really getting more deeply into our body. And now release that action and cross your legs the first way, your new favorite. Or maybe you've decided you like them equally well, but you know, I always pay more attention to the side I don't like because I think that that's where the work needs to be, or at least the consciousness, right? So I'm trying to sit as tall as I can. And now just put your hands on your thighs again and draw your elbows down, your armpits up, your abdomen back, your back body down. Breathe and I'm going to mirror you. Take your left hand to your right knee and your right hand behind you. So then when you do that, don't turn yet, just stay centered. Because one thing we want to do is we want to keep our spine centered even though we're going to twist. We know we're going to twist because we've already kind of initiated that. But at the same time, I don't want to lean and I don't want to be unconscious about it either. I want to keep the weight in the left buttock. So now that we know that we want to stay really centered and tall, tall is probably the best word. So the skin on the front body will up, skin on the back body down. Now start just gently turning toward the right, but you have to notice your ribs on the left side, your buttock on the left side, and you have to just say, how does that feel? That is where you're going to feel a lot of the twist, I think, is on the opposite side. If you let that happen, and then really be tall, and just have, your chin can be up slightly. You're not lifting your head up, but you're not dropping it down either. Your head is sort of right over your spine. Your neck is right over your spine. And then just breathe as you're turning. The breath is the most important thing about this twist. So breathe, and the exhale is where you twist. The inhale is where you lift. And then hold your abdomen really firm and your spine tall and come back to center. So that I didn't lose what I'd created. And then put your right hand on your left knee and your left hand behind you. And then we'll start that on the other side. But this will be different, you know, because for one thing, the weight might not be the same on both buttocks once you turn. You know, you have to say, oh, on this side, I kind of do lose this side. So push it down, lift your spine up, center your spine, and then start turning toward the left. but you're not turning toward the left without the centeredness of your spine and the lift of your heart. So breathing. And then as we come back, we're going to keep really firm through the core. You know, this is what we call core, I think. And then straighten your legs out and take a look at your legs this morning. So you're looking at your knees. That is one place to focus. Whether your knees look identical. And gosh, for some more, I have a miracle this morning. My knees are good, and I haven't even done anything. I don't know how that happened. Because usually one knee is rolling out a little bit. I mean, to the side, and that we don't want that, because that really implies something for your hips. And so you want your knees, you wouldn't think about it, but when you're standing, but your knees and your hips are quite a bit connected. And put your hands beside you, and then draw your elbows down and your chest up. So you feel now, this is sitting in Dandasana. This is Dandasana, staff pose. Elbows down, chest up, side body long. Breathe. And then just take your hands behind you. Remember that belt. Take the belt and hold it and press it down. So when I'm doing it, I'm just going to show you from the back, because it's interesting to use a belt, or you can interclasp your hands, but I'm not this morning. So your belt, when you use it, it comes lower. See, it doesn't just go to the blanket. It goes lower. And then your chest lifts up. So that's what I'm intending. That's what I'm thinking of, is really creating this big open spine, arch in your back, legs still a miracle. Oh my gosh, you guys, you're witnesses. Take your hands lower, chest up, armpit open, ribs back, abdomen back. But then soften that. Don't make that harsh. It could be so harsh, couldn't it? It could just be so, no. Just make it as soft as you can make it, as centered as you can make it, and as tall as you can make it, and then stretch through your legs. Stretch through your legs towards your feet, and now look at your feet. So your feet come to your awareness, and you just want to see how they're lining up. Spread the toes apart, and then take the toes and point them away. So now your quadriceps are really active, and lift your chest up more. And now undo all that, but you should feel pretty tall now through the torso. And so we're going to start this morning in a little bit different way than I normally start with you. And it's going to be a Supta Baddha Konasana with a bolster horizontal, but I'm saying this for everybody. You know, I've got kind of a soft, squishy bolster, so it's not a really huge, but you know how small my back is. So it encompasses practically my entire back. So what if that was too much for you? That would not be a good way to start. Remember, this is our first pose. You know, if we did this at the end of class, it would be so different. So don't go to your automatic without thinking. So another thing could be kind of a narrow blanket folded. So, you know, do your best. But when you come to your Supta Baddha Konasana, have your blocks. So have your blocks. And, some of you I know are very flexible, and you can bring your knees right to the floor. You don't need blocks. If your knees do not actually touch the floor in Baddha Konasana, you need blocks. Because it's really what we're going to do is more about awareness than it is about the pose. So I'm going to take the blocks, and you might need something under your head. I don't this morning, but you might. So be careful. Your neck needs to feel long. And then you're going to take your arms to the side, right out from your shoulders. What you'd like is your shoulder blade skin going down away from your head, just like we did before. And then the bolster supporting that. And breathe. So get into this position, because we're going to be here for a couple of minutes. And I want you to be as comfortable as you possibly can be, because there's no point in getting your lower back tight or anything like that. So you might have to take your buttock skin and move it slightly back away from your waist. You might have to take your shoulder blades and roll them down more toward the floor. Now your shoulder blades are not really Mine aren't on the floor. If yours are on the floor, that's okay because that means you have a longer back. But mine aren't on the floor. Mine are perpendicular to the floor. And that's almost what I prefer. So even if your shoulder blades would come to the floor, lift them up a little bit, lift them off the floor and up, and hold your abdomen in your awareness and lengthen your spine. So you're lying down. It's not like there's much you can do except just breathe into your back. Breathe into your back and just see how it feels. You've got a lot of support under your shoulders, under your mid-back. That's where the support probably is shoulder, lower shoulder blades and mid-back. Breathe. So just take your inhale and your exhale and just notice it. And now, this is why I want you to be comfortable. There's two beautiful awarenesses you can get here. And one is from your head to your feet, the length, the centeredness. So center your spine in your awareness. It's centered, but just be aware of it. Just be aware of the length of the spine and how long it feels and how the head, even though the head is, not exactly part of the spine, the neck is. So you want to feel like your neck is comfortable. That's why you might need something under your head. And just feel like your armpits are really open now. So now think about the breadth across the shoulders into the hands and just from knee to knee, hand to hand. So we've got head to feet, we've got knee to knee, and we've got hand to hand. And just enjoy this big, open, easy back bend. It shouldn't be a big back bend. It should be comfortable, breathing. The armpits are a big part of us. Notice the armpits. Notice the inner armpits, especially because the inner armpits are stretching away from the heart, the chest, toward the elbows, toward the hands. So just notice that. And now just without doing anything with your head, just keep your head really comfortable. Just bring your hands to the outside of your knees, legs, and bring your knees back together. And then you're going to roll to the right side and come up. So, whenever we come up, we always come up the same way. Even if we're in a pose like this, we roll to the side, we use our arms, and we come up. And now I'm going to take this bolster away. And I'm going to come into the same pose, but this time I might need a belt. So you might too. So I have a belt. Where did my belt go? Here it is. So I've got a belt. And this is Supta Baddha Konasana 2. I don't mean 2 as the number 2. I mean also, this is also Supta Baddha Konasana, but this is the more traditional Supta Baddha Konasana that Mr. Iyengar would teach. He would, he likes all the stuff that we do, but this is the real one. So you're going to bring your feet together before you do anything else. And then if you don't think you're going to be able to get your ankles with your hands, then you just have a belt there. Just have a belt right around the front of your ankles. And then, so now, now I don't have any support under me. There's no support under me. So I'm just going to pick my buttocks up and move them a little closer to my heels. Just a little. And then I'm going to come back to my back. So I'll talk you through this. We can all do this together. This is nothing that is so observable that you have to see it. It's more of a subtle, it's more subtle than that. You could see it, but you can do it too. So now, your hands, your arms are going to support your legs. That's what's going to happen. Your arms are going to take the place of those blocks. So don't worry about your legs quite yet. Start to think about your feet. Just touch your toes, touch your metatarsals, the balls of your feet, touch your heels. Maybe the outer heels need a little more attention. Just be soft though. You're not pressing your feet so hard that you're creating a cramp in your foot. There's an arch in your foot still, of course, if you have one to begin with. And now I'm going to suggest that you scoot your buttocks and your shoulders toward your feet. So that's a little bit of a fun thing to do. So you pick your shoulders up and you move them toward your buttocks, and then you pick your buttocks up and you move them away from your shoulders, and then you pick your shoulders up and you move them toward your buttocks, and then you move your buttocks toward your feet, and you're scooting. You're scooting with your spine so that you're trying to get as close to your feet as you can. Now remember how we've talked about closing the gap with our knees being extremely compressed? This is closing the gap. If this is not good for you, don't go so far. Please don't. There's no need to. This is your first pose, but I'm doing pretty good. So I'm going to, and I can grab my ankles, but I'm going to hold the belt because I'm going to be especially nice to myself today. And I'm going to take my hands and hold the belt and put my upper arms down and lift my chest up. This is quite a back bend, even though it's not advertised as such. It really is a back bend, but don't let your lower back be shortened. Lengthen your lower back by moving your shoulder blades up, right? The shoulder blades go up, and then move your buttocks away from that action. You don't want your lower back to be compressed in this pose, far from it. You want your lower back to be part of the curve. So breathe. Just breathe, notice this. If you've grabbed your ankles, then that's the final pose. If you're holding the belt, that's the pose as well. If you're holding the belt but your knees are not that compressed, that's excellent as well. We want to do what's good for us. But now draw your awareness right across your chest, from the center of your chest to your armpits. So notice now your armpits are kind of popping up and open. That's a good thing. And then see if you can get your upper arms more underneath you, maybe a little bit of an adjustment. So in my world, my shoulder blades are on the floor, my buttocks are on the floor, but nothing else is on the floor. My buttocks really aren't on the floor except for the sit bones buttocks part that they're on, but then the waist is not on the floor, the ribs are not on the floor, and I'm just trying to lengthen. So talking like this makes you not appreciate how calming this pose can be. I'm sorry, I'm giving so many instructions, you're thinking, oh my God, this is a lot of work. No, this is calming. Take your awareness from your feet to the crown of your head, from your knee to your knee. So you're just as open as you could possibly be. That's what this pose is, open. Open through the heart, open through the knees, through the thighs. It's just a beautiful pose. Go in, just enjoy. And if you're not enjoying, make some adjustments, because we all know how to take care of ourselves, right? This is an all levels class. So, we have lots of options here. Breathe. Now, just undo the ankles if you're holding them, or the belt. And then take your hands to your outer thighs, outer knees, and just draw your knees back up. You're giving yourself a lot of support. And then roll over to the right side. And now we're going to come to our hands and our knees. So, I'm going to use a little blanket under my knees, just because, comfy. I just want some support. So my knees are going to be, maybe not such a thick one, maybe like this. No, this is just me. You don't have to do this. I'm just being a big Princess and the Pea person. Oh, it's too sensitive for me. Okay, so my knees are on the blanket now and my toes are turned under, and my hands are going to come under my shoulders. So my hands are kind of right under my shoulders. So we're not doing downward facing dog. Downward facing dog is a wider hands to knees, but when we're going to do cat cow. So look at your hands and make them conscious, and then lengthen your arms through the inner arms. So your inner arms should come up toward your armpits practically. They do. So take your inner arms up, and then take your chest forward. And then hold your belly button up. So your back is kind of neutral right now, even though your abdomen is really helping you keep it soft. Your back body should feel kind of soft. And then round your back up into the cat shape. So round your back up toward the ceiling. And, you know, it would be so nice if all those vertebrae would open evenly, but our backs are all very different. So just enjoy whatever you can get of this rounded back. And then breathe. Be sure you're breathing. And then bring your chest through your upper arms into the cow shape. And so now the front body is quite long. From the pubis to the sternum to the chin, you should feel quite a long front body. And breathe. And then go back to the cat. And now your back body should feel extremely long, and your front body is coming up into your torso to support that. Your belly button's coming up. Your ribs are coming up. And then go back to the cat shape. So just go back to the cat shape and breathe. So your hands are on the floor and you feel some weight. I feel a lot of weight there. And then cat shape. So the cat, the rounding. So this is really nice for your spinal nerves. And then bring your chest forward into the cow shape. So each vertebrae has a set of nerves, you know, so every vertebra deserves its space, right? So now, just for a moment, if you can sit back in Vajrasana, do that. Because I just want to take the weight off your hands for a second. We're going to go back to that. But, you know, didn't you feel weight in your hands? I did. Yeah. So now you could, if your hands feel like they could use a little, taking your fingers toward your wrist, you could do that. I mean, I don't really need to do this. I'm just showing you. If you come out of dog and you're like, ooh, that was a little too much weight in my hand, then do some work to create, you know, this feeling of better feeling. And then knowing that, if you did feel that, you would like take another sticky mat. I'm just showing you this because I show this all the time and people don't always remember it, you know, because you don't always need it. But if you did, for example, need something under your hands, it would be under the heel of your hand. So the heel of your hand would be on a little bit of a lift, and the fingers and most of the palm would be on the floor. So what it is doing, it's creating less of a severe bend in your wrist. It just gives you a little ease. So if you need that, I always think that's good for dog pose too. So I don't need that this morning. So hands under the shoulders again, knees under the hips, abdomen up, spine long. And now breathe and take your right leg and just stretch it out on the floor so that stretch it away from your from the hip. But your toes are on the floor. The bottom of your metatarsal is on the floor, and you're going to just stretch through the heel. Just stretch back into the heel, and boy, when you do that, you should feel your quadricep. And try to feel your inner leg. Try to feel your inner leg. So the inner leg going from the groin, essentially, to the inner heel, and just lengthen. So your whole leg feels amazingly strong, even though all you're doing is stretching it. So that's a good thing. Now bring your knee down. Center yourself mentally too, because we do these actions, but we want to stay in the center. So now take your left leg and do the same. So your left leg is stretching out. And you're just stretching the heel away, and you're stretching the leg, inner leg. Just feel like the inner leg is really in your awareness, and you're breathing. Yeah, it's not a big action, but it should feel really nice. And then bring that knee down. Now, I'm going to say something about your head. Your head is involved in this, no doubt, but don't be lifting your head up too much. You know, look down between your hands with your head. And I'm not saying drop your head. I'm saying keep your head in line with your spine as opposed to lifting your chin too high. Believe me, in a minute, we'll lift our chin high. Now, take your right leg and stretch it out like we just did. And then lift your leg up. So now it's up, kind of in line with your buttock. I don't know if that's really where it is, but that's how I feel it is. And I'm stretching through the heel. When you stretch through the heel, you straighten your leg better to start with, at least. So stretch through the heel, notice the inner and outer leg, and lift your torso away from that and your abdomen up. And then bring your knee down. Breathe. Now take your left leg and stretch it out onto the floor like we did, toes on the floor. Stretch through your heel, lift your leg up. So now we're familiar with this. We know this one. So just stretch your leg back. You might feel different side to side. I do, but that's kind of good to notice. And then bring that knee down. And then just sit back for a second, just for the sake of your hands, and take your hands behind your back and stretch. So, you know, just a nice big lift of the chest. And now come back to your hands and knees. So now we're going to make it a little more dynamic. So your knees are down, your hands are down, and your spine is long, and you're looking at the floor. Please don't look up yet. You will look up in a minute. So you're looking down at the floor. I'm not saying you're dropping your head. I'm saying you're lengthening your neck and your head is looking down. And now breathe and bring your right knee toward your chest and round your back into that cat shape. So your back is in a cat shape and you're looking down, and then stretch your leg way up and now lengthen your front body. Now you can take your chin up. Now you can take your chin up, shoulders back, chin up, shoulders back, and then bring that knee down. Breathe. Now, same on the other side. Left knee comes way, so you're rounding your back, and then you're stretching the opposite way, chest up, chin up, leg up, breathe, and then come down. So I hope you're feeling what I'm feeling, which is a big, long stretch. So right knee in, right leg up. Just lengthen, bring the knee down. Left knee in, left leg up, lengthen. Just big, long arc of your back. Bring your knee down. And then come off of that. So I'm not going to use my blanket anymore. My blanket is not going to help me now. And I also wanted to give my hands a little break. I wanted to give your hands a little break, too. So now come to hands and knees. And now your hands are going to be in front of your shoulders a little bit, and your knees are going to be behind your hips just a little bit. So what you're doing is you're essentially creating a long side body here, much longer than you were before. And abdomen should be really long, and then come up into downward facing dog. So downward facing dog is our pose this morning to start with. So just lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. It's a beautiful pose. You know, a lot of the things that we have already done have made your poses so pretty. I mean, the first dog pose, everybody always says, is not so great, but that's not so true this morning, is it? That looks really good. Beautiful. So if you need to bend your knees a lot, I would do that. I would really bend my knees a lot. Yeah, because if you bend your knees, your lower back will lengthen. If you bend your knees, Judy. Bend your knees. Yeah. Oh, that helped. Oh, that helped. That was really good. Yeah, that's what we want. Shelley, you can bend your knees, but don't squish your dog. There you go. Well, that was hilarious. Okay, come down. Okay, I should never start laughing when I'm trying to instruct, but when we're at home, we do have some fun things happen, don't we? So come down. I thought that would be, so some of you are working with your hands, you know, is that, so, you know, do that. You know, if you feel like you need to work your hands, do that. Because now we're going to go back to downward facing dog, but we're going to add something. So come to downward facing dog. You don't need to see this. You know this one, I think. So your hands are under, a little ahead of your shoulders. Your knees are a little back behind your hip, not a lot. Just a little bit, just so you can lengthen your side body as long as you can and lift your chest forward. You know, we don't think about this, but you do want to lengthen your side body and then come up into downward facing dog. So downward facing dog, and bend your knees quite deeply. Bend your knees quite deeply so that your side body gets longer and longer and longer. It's really hard to lengthen your side body at first without your knees being bent because your lower back doesn't quite know what to do. But now it does. So now straighten your legs a little bit and you can bring your heels up a little bit And ears probably between the upper arms for a second. And then bring your right knee into your chest, so you're kind of coming forward, almost like you were going to do a plank. And then you're going to stretch your right leg way up. And I still have my heel up on my left leg because, the hamstring's not quite ready for anything else. And then bring that leg down. And breathe. So now center yourself. Be in your downward facing dog. And then come forward and bring your left knee way in. And then your left leg way up. So it's just that same thing we were doing on our knees, but now we're in dog pose. And then bring your left leg down, and then walk your feet forward and grab your blocks, 2 blocks, and put your hands on the blocks. Step your feet back so that you're just right over your shoulders and your hands are in line, and your hips and your legs are in line, and lift your chest forward. Lift your chest forward and pull your shoulder skin back. Pull your shoulder skin back, your chest forward. This is Uttanasana, concave back. So concave back means that your chest is lifted and your buttocks are lifted and you're in a big curve in your back. So it's quite nice. The thing is, it doesn't really show up like that. When you look at somebody's back in concave back, you don't quite see the back bend, but it's there. Hold your abdomen up, breathe. Don't let your neck get too involved. If you find like your neck and your shoulders are creating a little bit of a tug of war, just relax that a little bit and lift your chest more and just take your shoulder skin back. Don't lift your head up so high. Thighs are really important here. Pull the thighs away from your hands and arms and lift your chest forward. And now bend your knees and come down. Move the blocks away. Downward facing dog. Back to down. Now your downward facing dog could be, your heels could come more toward the floor if you can. There's never, you do what your body will do. Inner arms long, through the armpits, through the torso, back to the legs. Bring your right knee into your chest. Take your right leg up. Big, big action. Big action. Bring your leg down. Breathe. Be sure you're breathing. Now bring your left knee into your chest. Bring your left leg up. Big action. Big long stretch. Big long stretch. And then bring your left leg down. And then walk your feet forward. And take your hands to the blocks. Concave back. So shoulders and hands in line. Hips and feet. Torsos in the middle. Lifting straight forward. But now take your elbow creases and rotate them towards your hands. In other words, your upper arms are going to rotate externally, from the armpit to the outer arm. You're rotating the arms, and that's going to help your shoulders and lift your chest forward and hold your abdomen up and lengthen your legs. Breathe. Now, take your hands back by your hips, lift your chest forward, firm your thighs, inhale and come up. Move the blocks, get the belt. Now take your belt and loop it. If you don't have a belt, no worries. Maybe you have one belt but 2 people, you know what I'm saying? Some people have only one belt, but that's not a problem. We can always pretend. And so the belt is about as wide as the shoulders, okay? So you want to have enough room to get and this is different for people with bigger shoulders like men. So you might have to have a wider loop if you're a man, honestly. But you're going to take your belt over your elbow, and then you're going to hold the edge of it with that hand, and now you're going to take the other elbow and you're going to try to get it through that belt. Now, if you don't have a belt, you're going to just pretend like you have a belt. Because do you see what it's doing to my pose? It's pulling my shoulders down and it's pulling my chest up. So this is my intention. That's what I want. So here we are. In really quite an accentuated Tadasana. If this is what your Tadasana looks like every time, excellent. Excellent. This is what it should look like. But for a lot of us, we're so used to our computer work and reading. Boy, I've been watching people walk. Because as a yoga, once you learn yoga, you can't help but look at people when they walk or when they sit. You just notice in yourself. But here's what I see. Everybody like this. They're walking like this and their heads down. Isn't that true? So if you're like that too, and aren't we all a little bit, this is the counteraction. This is the way to undo that. And we can do this every day. Now take your armpits and really open them. Open your armpits and hold your ribs back and your belly button back and take your hands down. So this should not, at first it's a little bit of a harsh action, I know. Try to soften that. But the top of your legs, they're part of it too. Take the inner legs and roll them in right at the top. But the outer knees don't go in. So you have to keep your outer knees going back and your inner thighs going forward. Always, you know, it's always the tug and the pull, right? One thing is doing one thing, the other thing is doing the other thing. Chest up, breathe. And now remove that. And come back to downward facing dog. See, I just gave us a break from our hands. So now we're going back. And if you're like, oh, I've done a lot of that now. I understand. You could just do a chair dog. So here's a beautiful idea. It's called chair dog. And this is really great for those of you who your hands are tired because you have good reason for that. So if you need, you're going to take a chair dog. Okay? But if you're good with a downward facing dog with your hands on the floor, like a traditional one, then you're going to do that. So downward facing dog. And if you're going to be in the traditional one, we're going to do something with our legs. But if you're in chair dog, you're going to just stay in chair dog, okay? So downward facing dog, stretch your torso as long as you can. Side body as long as you can from the little finger to the outer heel of your legs. And then from the inner hands, the thumb side of the hand, through the inner arms to the inner legs. And breathe. And then look between your hands. Bend your knees and bring your right foot to the outside of your right hand. If you're on a chair, don't do that. Don't do that if you're on a chair. If you're on a chair, just lengthen. Ah, good, you guys. Whatever you've chosen, it's beautiful. Good, good. And then undo that. Take that leg back. And then again, bend your knees, look between your hands, take your left leg forward. So we're just doing a little bit of this and that. And then come back. And then bend your knees and come down. And just sit back in Vajrasana for a second. And if you're using the chair, just come away from that. And then always when you sit back after something like this, take your hands behind you and pretend like you've got a belt. So, you know, we went from downward facing dog with all the work with our legs, but now we're just re-lengthening our spine, breathing, and then come back. One more of those, downward facing dog. Downward facing dog, stretching your legs, stretching your legs. If you're in chair dog, that's beautiful as well. That's the nice thing about that chair. It really helps and it's beautiful. So breathe. Now if you're in regular dog, bend your knees, look between your hands, take your right foot to the outside of your right hand. And then this time, just remember to lift your left thigh. In other words, your right knee is bent, but don't let your left buttock sag. Good, good, good. That's good. Bring your leg back. Bring your leg back. And then downward facing dog. And then bend your knees, look between your hands, take your left foot forward, Your right leg then, your right thigh lifts up. Your right thigh lifts up and breathe and breathe. Good. And then bring your leg back. Downward facing dog. So downward facing dog, really nice long pose. Make your pose as long as you can make it. Through the side body, through the spine. Breathing, breathing. And then undo and get your blocks. So now we've got blocks like we've had them before. And just for a moment, we're going to put the blocks and our hands on the blocks, feet back, same thing as before, Uttanasana, concave back. So you're drawing your chest forward and your thighs back. So, but your shoulder blades go back too. So the same action in sitting applies here. From the lowest part of your abdomen to your collarbones, you lift forward. And from your shoulder skin, right at the top of the trapezius towards your buttocks, you pull back. So it's the two at one time, and breathe, and then undo. But we've got these blocks, so I want to show you what we're going to do. So we've got blocks, and I'm going to keep them at the high level, but you know, you're going to see what this, let me show you what it really, it's Superman pose. And so usually we use a chair. We use a chair for our forearms, and we will go there, but I don't know if everybody has a chair. So I thought, well, let's start with blocks. And so I tried it using blocks, and I really liked it. So here's my blocks, and they're going to be at the shoulder distance, and then I'm going to lie down. So I think you can see me. Yeah, you can see me. I'm lying down. And then if you put your forearms down and lift your chest up, then you can work on your legs a little bit. So just watch for a second in case you wonder what the heck are we doing. So first of all, I just take my legs and I don't know if you can see this, but I'm trying to move my thigh away from my pelvis. And then on the other side, thigh away from my pelvis. And then I'm going to take my big toes and they're going to touch and my heels are going to separate and I'm going to lift my spine up. And then here are these blocks. I'm going to put my hands on the blocks for Superman. My ears stay between my upper arms. My armpits get quite open. So now, from the front body, you're lifting all the way towards your chest, and you're breathing, and your shoulder skin is going back towards your hips, towards your feet. So take the shoulder skin back and your front body skin up, and then you say to yourself, now come out of that. Because what I want you to notice is what that did to your shoulders and your shoulder blades. Maybe that didn't feel as good to you as it did to me. You know, we're all different. If that was the case, then I would take my blocks a step lower. But if you can do it again, we're going to do it again. Superman is nice because it's not that hard, but it's so big. So your hands are on the blocks, and then I'm starting to scoot back. I like to scoot, I guess. And my toes together, my heels apart, my armpits. Now I'm just looking at the floor. See, if you look up too quickly, the back of your neck does the pose instead of your chest. So look at the floor. Armpits are open, and lift your chest. Don't lift your neck without lifting your chest first. Lift your chest, and your neck is stretched by your chin, but don't overdo the back of your neck. Breathe. Superman. So we're flying through the air as we do, lifting your chest, breathing. Breathe. Now breathe into your spine. And then come off of that. So come off of that and come back up. So we're going to do some back bends. You can probably tell. We're going to do a couple back bends, but we're easing into them. I think you also can see. So this next one is an interesting one. And I'm going to show you what I would do, and then I'm going to show you two options. So it's more important for you. This is an all levels class. There have to be places that you can work and enjoy it and not suffer. I don't want you to suffer. So here would be the best for me. But that's just, you know, hey, I have been up doing some back bends, so I won't pretend that I'm not ready for this, because I'm ready. But we should all be ready. That's what we've been working on, right? So I'm going to use blankets. Now, why am I going to use blankets? I'm going to use blankets because I am small. And what I want is for whatever I use, and it's going to be the chair seat, and it's going to come to my shoulder, the bottom of my shoulder blades. So that's why I'm using the blankets. Taller people won't need them. Because then I'm going to take my hands to the chair seat, to the chair legs, and I'm going to pull the chair legs forward, and I'm just going to lift my chest. Now my neck is really neutral here. I'm not doing this. I'm lifting my chest, but not so much my head. And I'm just resting against my chair. We're going to do that together. But what if you don't have a chair? You don't want to do it this way, but you do want this action. The other idea is quite nice too, is to take 2 blocks. Those are going to be for your shoulder blades, and a blanket for your head, because I know that's a bit of a drop. So then your shoulder blades are right on the blocks. Your head is on the little blanket, and you can stretch your arms over your head, or you can, yeah, I think that's the best way. But this is equaling this very nice too, because both of them are doing the same thing, which is they're lengthening your buttocks away from your shoulders, or the other way to think of it is they're lengthening your shoulders away from your buttocks. And then there's a back bend in it too, which is what we're getting ready for. So I'm going to go back to my chair, because I want to say one thing about the chair that I think is really important. And I want to say this about just sitting in general, because as we get older, not that you're getting as old as some of us, but our backs start to flatten. So when we sit, if you can see me, we sit almost that the buttocks are right under the waist. I try not to do that, but I think that's kind of natural. That's not good. You want your buttocks back. So here I notice that when I sit on this lift, and I bring my legs are in cross legs, but they could be straight too, so don't worry about that. I'm going to move my setup a little forward so you can see better. But what I've been trying to notice is when I sit like this, are my buttocks right under my waist, or is there a curve in my lower back? So I move my buttocks back, even though that feels a little harder, and I take my arms to the outside of the chair seat, and I hold the chair legs, and I open my armpits up. So not hard, but quite different in the back. So either you're on the shoulders are on the blocks and your head is on a blanket and you feel ready for that, or your back is to this chair and your buttocks are back and you're lifting your chest. So now my head's neutral. My head is pretty neutral. I'm not trying to, but my shoulder skin's going down away from my head. So my neck is long, not because I'm manipulating my neck, but my shoulders are doing that. And lift your chest, lift your chest. Just curve it either over the blocks or curve it over the edge of the chair and lift your side body as high as you can. Keep your head neutral and breathe. Yes, I like that. Yeah, good. That's nice. That's nice. It's this idea, it's the same idea, isn't it? So undo that and take the chair away. I thought that looked good. Let me just remind you of what we just did is very similar to this, right? Isn't this what we're doing? Really big lift. Now we're going to do something that everybody likes, and so we always want to do this and remind ourselves of how this can help us. And so what we do is we take 2 blocks, and a lot of these poses help us physically, mentally, and emotionally. And this is a good example of one. So my blocks are going to be, one is going to be at the medium level. I'm going to move my chair, my computer down so you can see this, because it's such a great pose. So this is going to be for my shoulder blades. This is going to be for my head. Moving the chair away so we don't get too distracted by that. And then my legs are going to be comfortable. So either cross-legged or straight. But the shoulder blades themselves are on the medium level sideways block, and your head is on the high level. So you don't really have to do too much to have a back bend, because the blocks are doing the back bend and you're receiving it. But you know, you have to receive it. It can't just, you have to work with the blocks. And so your shoulder blades should be on the blocks now, your head on the higher. If you don't have two blocks though, if you're sharing a pair of blocks between two of you, you could put a rolled blanket under your shoulders and just lie on your back. I mean, you need some way of creating this big long arch in your back, curve in your back. So now, let your shoulder blades come into your awareness and open your armpits. So in other words, you're going to broaden your front body skin from your center of your chest toward your armpits, toward your elbows. It's very subtle too, because we're in a supportive pose, but we're helping the support. We're working with the support. Back of the ribs should come up into your front body. Your side body should feel really long, but a big curve. So just breathe. You can close your eyes too. I mean, we're going to do something more active in a minute, but just for right now, you could close your eyes. Back bends can be very invigorating, but they can be very, they can really help us too. They can be so out there in terms of getting your breath rate going, but they're also, the nerves of your back really like this kind of a curve. These are an easier curve than a rounded back. And it's better for many of us with lower back issues. Back bends like this are much better. So lift your ribs though up and away from your buttocks and away from the floor. So your ribs are helping the curve. If your legs are crossed, uncross them and cross them the second way. Notice your jaw, notice your teeth. Just don't work your teeth or your jaw. Soften your face. Your face from the center of the forehead, center of the nose to the chin. The skin should be moving sideways toward your temples, toward your earlobes, toward your jaw, but very soft. Breathe. Now we're going to come up from this, and we've been in this nice, beautiful curve. And so we want to keep our head in line with our chest, okay? We're not going to let our head hang back, but we're going to take our elbows and our forearms, our hands down, and we're going to make and straighten your legs maybe, and take a big movement and just lift your chest up, but bring your head with it. You push it, yeah, perfect, that's it. See, it was quick, and it didn't hurt your neck. That's the most important thing. Okay. So now we did that. I hope you would like that. If you ever need a moment of calm, but also invigoration and energy, this is your pose. I used to do this pose after work. And some of you who know what kind of work I did know why I had to do that. Right? Okay, now we're going to take all that away. Take all that away. Now you might want a blanket for this next one. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. Just for the pelvis. We're going to lie on our stomach. We're not doing Salambhasana, so don't think, oh, we're doing Salambhasana. We are not. We're going to do Dhanurasana. So we're going to lie on this blanket. Let me show it to you. Let me remind you of it. I don't know if you've done Dhanurasana lately. And I'm not sure how to use the belt with it, to be honest. You'll know what I mean in a second. I was trying to help somebody, Dalton, I think, with this. We were trying to figure out how you could use a belt for your ankles in this pose. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, we'll see. Because we have to try these poses, even though they're maybe more than we're quite ready for. So we're going to lie on our stomach. And we're going to take our, so I don't have my chest on my little lift. I'm just pretending like I need this. I don't, but I'm just going to pretend like I like this. So really, if you have the blanket, it would be for your ribs to your thighs, but not your chest and not your knees or anything. So then you just come down and you put your hands beside you. So your hands are beside you, palms up. This would be like we were starting Salambhasana, but we're not. So my chin's just kind of resting. I'm not, and I'm going to pull my shoulder skin back right away. And then I'm going to pick I'm going to put my left foot on the floor and I'm going to inch my left thigh away from my pelvis. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. What I'm trying to do, honestly, is bring my pelvis to the floor. I'm going to try to bring my groins to the floor. I mean, they won't come exactly. And then I want to take my awareness to my buttocks, and I want my buttock skin to go from the center sideways down toward the outside of the hips and down. And then, so then get here with me. So just be here. You could even put your chin on your hands just to start getting your legs organized. I can't reorganize my legs often enough because there seems to be a tendency to shorten through the side ribs a little bit. And I want my side ribs to be nice and long, so my armpits away from my legs. Now just, whatever you're doing, bend your right knee and just bend it up and see if you can reach for your ankle with your hand. See if you can. And then so let's see how we're doing. Can we do that? Okay. All right, good. That's good. I mean, it's not easy, is it? Because it's a big reach back, and then you've got the knee. Remember closing the gap, we've got the knee. And sometimes we're like, oh, I've got the knee, right? Okay, good. Now undo that, and go to the second side. So then re-straighten that right leg. So keep that right leg. Remember, the groin is soft and down, and the pelvis is, stable, but the legs are long. And so now the left side, we're trying with the left side. So what we're doing is we're compressing the knee. I know that. So that's one thing we're doing that we might or might not like. And then undo that, okay? So now watch. So I'm going to show you. I think I'm going to show you. So I'm on my stomach, and I am the queen of preparation, I don't ever do and this is true in my life, and my family will tell you, I like to be prepared. So I'm just stretching my legs away from my torso, so that my front body is so long already, and then I'm going to reach for one ankle. So far, so good. Now I'm going to reach for the other ankle. Whoa. That was a little harder. I got it. Now I'm going to move my knee away from my pelvis. Okay, now I'm flexing my feet. Do you see that? Here's my toes pointing. Now I'm flexing. This is a dorsiflex. And now I'm going to open my armpits. So I'm not lifting my knees up yet. So let's all try to get to this point. And I wonder if you couldn't grab your ankles. I think, Michael, I know you know how to do this using a belt. Maybe Margaret can help you with that. Let me see. If we put the belt under our ankles to start, and if we started in more of so the belt loop would have, I have to do this for my friends who need this because we just don't want anybody to suffer. You got to enjoy this. So I've got the belt, and I'm going to take Oh, yay. Okay, it's possible. All right, if you need the belt, get the belt. But all we're going to do is we're going to grab either the belt or our ankles, and we're going to lengthen our front body again. And we're not going to take our knees up. We're going to take our armpits and our chest up. So we're lifting our chest up. So it's not about the knees yet. Lift your chest up. So your chest is up, and then your knees are down, and your back is long, and then a huge curve, and breathe. And then undo, and lie back down. So if your knees bothered you, then you're thinking to yourself, maybe I should not do such a heavy compression. Maybe I should try the belt and keep my feet a little further away from my thighs, because just come out of what you're doing for a second and watch what the pose will look like in a minute. And so I don't want you to do it without enjoying it, because this is such an enjoyable pose. Well, for most of us. Iyengar thought this was one of the best poses for the lower back. So I'm not doing this because I think it will hurt your lower back. I'm doing it because it's supposed to help your lower back. So I get myself, you know me, as long as I can through the torso, everything organized, grabbing. And when I grab for my ankles, just to tell you, I always grab for the opposite side the next time first. You know, because I know myself, I am also a creature of habit like we all are. So now I'm holding my ankles, but my knees have kind of splayed apart. So I'm going to re-lengthen. Now, do you see how I'm flexing my feet? I don't know if you can see that. I'm lifting my chest. I'm breathing. This is all about breathing. And then I'm going to lift my knees up slowly. I'm using my ankles. I'm using my hands on my ankles, lifting my legs up, lifting my chest up. And you know, this is a bit on the knee, I have to say. So I'm being careful. I could lift my knees higher, but my knees don't like it quite yet. So I'm going to go slow. Yeah, my knees are just not, see, that's what you have to think about. If your knees don't want your feet to lift up like that, you can't do it. Let's try it though, because you might have a lot of success with it. And you might be like me, where you're going to say, it's my kneecap that complains. And I don't want that. So get as much length as you can through your front body. From your knees to, include your thighs in your front body now. So get as much length as you can and grab your ankles. Grab your ankles. Ooh, good. I like what I'm seeing. And breathe. Your breathing here is your superpower. So breathe. And then see if you lift your chest up. Good. Now let's see if maybe you could lift your knees. See, for some of you, this is good. Good, Delton, I see you've got your belt. Good job. Good, you guys. Nice. Breathe. And then come down. Bridget, that looked great. You got quite up there, I thought. Yeah, nice. How'd that go, Diane? How's your knee? Everything okay? Are you taking care of it? Okay, be sure you do. Okay, let's try it again. If it's, you know, and if you said, okay, that's enough of that, then just come to your chair and put your back over the chair top. You know, just do something nice to give yourself a big back bend. Yeah, Kathy Jo, you could do that. If you wanted to, you could sit on the chair, take your hands behind the chair arms, chair top, and hold the chair seat and lift you, get a big back bend. Everybody else, grab your ankles if you can. Use a belt if you need. Breathe, no matter what. And lift your chest up and your knees up. Yeah, wow, good. That's beautiful. See, we're all doing what we can do. Okay, you got a blanket. I see what you did, Kathy. Good, okay. Nice, everybody. Nice, wow, good. Breathe. And then undo, Okay, now here's my advertisement for Dhanurasana. Because I don't do things just because I like the pose. I always want to know what is this pose intended to do? So I just happened to be, you know, I love Dhanurasana. That's why I'm kind of bummed my knee didn't want to do it today, but I'll do it tomorrow. It'll be better. Dhanurasana is good for fatigue. You can see how energizing it is, isn't it? Even if you just lie on your back and lift your chest up like that, really energizing. So very good for fatigue, very good for anxiety. And I know anxiety is kind of the catchword of today. And then the third thing it's good for is constipation, just saying. So, you know, always good for something. Now we're going to take a chair or some sort of a surface and even a wall, and we're going to do a long, long dog pose, okay? So it's going to be or a wall, or either that or a right angle pose. Because the idea here now is we did a big back bend. We did a nice big back bend, and I hope you enjoyed it. And then we're going to give ourselves a nice long back now. Now we're just going to lengthen our back, way back, away from our hands, away so armpits are wide open. Legs are really, so use your legs to help your back. Use your legs. Ah, beautiful, beautiful. Nice. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I like that. That's always a go-to pose, isn't it? Beginning of the day, end of the day, I don't care. I use it all day long. Bend your knees and step forward and come up. And then we're going to lie down on our back. So, you know, we're just going to start to undo everything we've done to come back to a more neutral spot. So yoga is so beautiful, the way that we warm up, we do this beautiful pose, and then we start coming back because we're always taking care of ourselves. We don't just stop now and walk away. Don't you see that? Once you've done a back bend, you don't just walk away from that then. There's something left to be done, and it's to take care of a lot of things now to make sure, to double check. So lie down on your back with your knees bent. And so your knees are bent, and so this is always a good thing to think about. How close should your feet be to your buttocks? That depends on your knees, but you know, just bring them where they're comfortable. And then really put your feet into the pose. Really be aware of your feet. So we're not going to, you know, this is just lengthening our back now. We're not doing a pose. We're just getting ourselves comfortable. And then just lift your shoulders up, you know, all the things that we did before. And now take your arms to the side, palms up. And so you're going to broaden your chest toward your hands. So that key word here is broad through the chest. And in the back body, the shoulder skin is still moving away from your head, away from your back of your head. Now bring your knees up together. Knees are together and feet are together, and just hold your belly button down a little bit and keep your armpits really open and breathe. And we're going to do belly turning pose. So we're going to take our knees to the right elbow and we're going to keep our left shoulder down. So that's the most important thing. Right through the chest, right through the arms, that doesn't change. Just take your knees now toward your right elbow. So that takes your knees up a little bit toward your knees. And feel your side body on the left side for sure. And just keep your armpit on the left side so beautifully open, left shoulder down. Now, I know we've talked about this so many times. Try to put your belly button into it. Turn your belly button away from your knees, just with your awareness. Just take your belly button and move it to the left. Just any amount, and hold it there and bring your knees back up. Breathe, broaden. So even though that was easy, it was still something, wasn't it? So we're going to take our knees to the left elbow, right shoulder's going to stay down, right armpit's going to be open. I'm not turning my head with it. My head stays centered. My shoulders stay down. My arms stay broad. My knees go to the left. But now I say, take my belly button to the right, away from my knees. My knees are going to my left, my belly button's going to the right, and then you're going to come back up. Now put your feet down for a second. Breathe. Bring your knees up. Bring your feet together and your knees together. You know, it's sometimes hard to keep our knees together when we go to the right. Do your best to keep your knees together. I know for a lot of that, I know it's hard. Keep your left arm and your left armpit open. Center your face to the ceiling. Don't move your face. Take your knees to the right, but keep your belly button already in the center. Try to take your knees away from your belly button now and up toward your elbow. Left shoulder stays down. Belly button is moving to the left. Well, maybe. Good luck. I hope you can. It's good. It's good for your back. It's what it's good for. And then bring your knees back up. You know, there's never any action in Iyengar yoga without a consequence. And Mr. Iyengar felt that the consequence of moving your belly here was good for your back. Take your knees to the left, but keep your belly button centered. Well, try. Why does the belly button go along with it? Of course it does. But you try to keep turning the belly away from the knees. Breathe. Breathe. And then come back to center. Put your feet on the floor. And then just lengthen your lower back. Feel like if you did anything that shortened your lower back, you've now of course you didn't shorten it, but your lower back was part of that twist for sure. So now you're lying on the floor, your feet are on the floor, your knees are bent, you're breathing. And take your right ankle across your left knee. So your right ankle comes across your left knee, and then you put your right hand on your right thigh, and you gently encourage the thigh skin to rotate toward the outer hip. In other words, you know, the rotation isn't toward the groin, it's toward the outer hip. And then just then try to hold it. You know, just try to hold it. And then take your left heel and lengthen it out onto the floor and take your right knee with you. And then notice the weight on the left buttock. Try to get the weight on the left buttock too, and just be here. This is sometimes called Supta Jana Shishasana. You know, this is a kind of a weird way to think of it, but you should think of your thigh skin on the right thigh as moving toward your knee. And then slide the left heel back up, put the foot on the floor, and then uncross. Uncross, reorganize your buttocks, and then take your left ankle over your right knee, and then take your left hand to your left thigh, and just gently roll it away from the inner leg toward the outer leg. It's just nice for your lower back. It's just nice for your lower back. And breathe. And then lengthen your right foot out onto the floor. And so now you're taking your knee with you. Just be in Supta Jana Shishasana. Breathe. And now undo that. Bring your right knee back up. Undo. And now your feet are on the floor, your hands are on the floor, your shoulders are on the floor, your buttocks are on the floor. Your head, your shoulders, your buttocks, your feet. Now, lift your shoulders up, move your shoulders toward your buttocks, move your buttocks away from your shoulders. So just a little bit. And then your hands are on the floor, palms down, elbows down, upper arms down, chest lifted. So right across the front body, the chest is broad and open, and across the back body, the back is kind of squeezing in toward the spine, just a little bit. Hold your belly button firm, lift your buttocks up into a Setu Bandha press. So this is a Setu Bandha press. We try to bring our hamstrings up too, you know. The thighs on the front, the quadriceps should be stretching toward the knees. The hamstring should be like moving toward the center. So come down. I have tried to explain this so many times. When you're using your hamstrings in Setu Bandha, which we are doing now, you're not lengthening and stretching your hamstring, you're contracting your hamstring, okay? But that does bring it up into the bone. So try it and think that way. So breathe. We'll start with kind of a soft intention. Hands down, elbows down, upper arms down, armpits open, chest broad, belly button firm. Nothing done without all this preparation. Press your heels down, lift your buttocks up, lift your buttocks as high as you can. That might be one place for one person, another place for another. But notice that the first thing you notice is your quadricep, and it's stretching like crazy toward the knee. But now notice your hamstring and try to contract it. So the quadricep is in a full stretch, and the hamstring is in a contraction, and they're helping each other. Breathe, and then come down. Now straighten your left leg out, bring your right knee into your chest. So bring your right knee into your chest. So now we're just helping our lower back again. So breathe, squeeze your right knee in, left leg out. Now bring your left knee in, take your right leg out. So both are equally important. The knee coming into the chest, the leg extending away from the torso. Bring your right knee in, stretch your left leg out. They're partners too. This is the physical therapist's pose for the low back. They use this a lot. So breathe, and then bring their left knee in, stretch the right leg out, just stretch it away. It's a beautiful pose, but it's also good for your back. And then set yourself up for Shavasana. So your Shavasana today could be Supta Baddha Konasana. It could be Viparita Karani. It could be traditional Shavasana. It could be Shavasana with your legs on a chair. And whatever your choice is, you're going to be just so happy. You can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong in this beautiful pose of Shavasana. So in Shavasana, we are going to go deep, and we're going to go in. So we've really made contact with our bodies today, with our emotions, with our mind, with our breath. And so now we're just going to let all that go. So just find your most comfortable place, wherever that is for you. And sometimes it's different, you know. Some days I just love just to lie flat. That's just perfect. And some days I like to put my legs up the wall in Viparita. Every day's different. And I've never done a Shavasana I didn't enjoy. This is the most important thing about Shavasana. It's part of an ongoing experience in yoga. Every time you do Shavasana, it's just another time you're doing Shavasana. And they connect to each other. And I've told you this before, but Gita Iyengar always said, every Shavasana adds a pearl to your necklace. So just broaden. Make sure your lower back is lengthened. Make sure your neck feels comfortable. Those are the important parts. And then whatever your choice is, let go. You have to get to a place where you're satisfied with your choice. So even if you get to a place where you think, oh, you could change it if you needed to, but sometimes you just accept it and you enjoy it too. So let your front body skin just be soft. We've been really stretching our front body up, and we've been squeezing our back body inwardly, and now we're just going to take all of that and broaden it. Just feel like right across the chest, right across the shoulders, right across the ribs, right across the pelvis. All those places in the front body, just from the center, go sideways with your awareness, with your breathing. And your back body skin starts to just soften so much that it's supportive. That is the support. We let the skin go. We let the flesh go, and we let the muscles go. And so all of that provides quite a base for the front body skin. Just go inwardly now. Just you're in your own body now. Your practice is almost at an end this morning, and we're just enjoying this final bit. breathing softly, just breathing softly. Like we started the class with easy breathing, your breathing now is even easier because as you're reclining, your breath does not need to be quite as deep. So you'll notice that it's a little bit more shallow, but not to worry, it's perfect. Right across the front body, soften. Just be in your body and just enjoy. Soften your face as much as you can. Soften your jaw completely. Let your tongue rest on the lower palate. So we try to use our face as little as possible here. So we take away all the expression in our face. It will come back, there's no worry about that, but it's good for us. It's good for us to, from the hairline to the eyebrows, relax down. From the center of the forehead, relax sideways. From the bridge of the nose, relax toward the temples, toward the jaw. Relax your tongue to the lower palate. All these things we say over and over. In your own practice at home, I know you know how to do all this because it's a letting go. It's a release. But the breath is beautiful. The inhale, just notice it, it's soft. But it's very nice, and the exhale, very nice. The exhale is soft and long. Just breathe, go in. Sometimes everything's been said that needs to be said, and that is now. You just enjoy. Gently now draw your awareness back to your inhalation and just increase slightly your inhalation, just a slightly fuller inhalation, not much. And then the exhalation will be just a tad bit longer. So this is a beautiful re-entry into our day through our breath. You'll notice the breath is part of our pose, every pose. So just inhale, exhale. The inhale a little deeper, the exhale a little longer. Place your hands on your abdomen and thank your body. Such beautiful poses today, everybody. Just thank your body for the cooperation it gives you, for trying so hard. It's a wonderful thing. And when you're ready, you're just going to roll to your right side. It's again, just a soft action, not big. Just roll over to the side. Rest on your right side for a moment with your head on your arm. No hurry, no hurry. Because when we come up, we want to keep a little bit of what we just achieved. We did something different. Keep a little bit of that. It will be a wonderful addition to your day. And then when you're ready to come up, use your arms strongly. Look toward the floor. Lift your chest up. Lift yourself up. Come back to a sitting position. Lift your torso. Hands in prayer. Namaste.